Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Why, hello there. Chris Potter is laughing because he just saw us. You hadn't seen this, huh? Unbelievable. Are you okay?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Is
Just
Potter's
talking the way you do.
Potter's okay? Okay.
Wait, there we go.
Hello,
Oh, yeah.
everybody. We are
Oh,
not
yeah.
talking about a certain baseball game, and we're just jumping right in here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show. It's Friday. It's the 4th of October. It's
You know, I didn't know they lost that game until this morning. I have like
what is with you?
I have like a Twitter feed, but like, and so I have friends and fellow, you know, people that I follow who are into
me,
it.
Don't you?
I do, yeah.
tweeted.
But what's weird is, but because I'm not really that invested in it. I don't have like the Pirates account or whatever, and I was just like doing other stuff last night. So all I could see was like a bunch of really sad people who weren't really like explaining what was making
What
them
was
sad.
wrong.
So I kind of had the dim outlines of some sort of
Something
disaster.
it didn't work.
But I didn't really know what it was.
Well,
I guess.
you know what I tweeted, and I waited a long time. I wanted to tweet it like in the 5th inning, and then I thought, well, I can see that out here in Bucko Nation, no one is like throwing in the towel yet, so I should just shut up. I'll leave it there. So it wasn't until the 8th inning where I finally tweeted what I had wanted to tweet, which was something to the effect of, why don't those damn Republicans actually do something useful and shut down this game?
Oh, that's what that was referring to.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I thought, yeah.
Oh, you
okay.
saw that?
Yes,
yeah.
I did see that.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought that was a pretty good one, but I would have
Isn't there a mercy rule or something?
Yeah, my God, gee, Willikers. Whee-wee. In a way, it was sort of liberating because, you know, you didn't have to. I found myself, relaxed because there was no question about what was happening.
If that's your standard, you should just spend you could get a lot of meditation done on Sunday afternoons for the next couple months.
That's
I have
true.
a feeling.
That's true too. That is true. Okay, well, we got another game coming up in 3 hours, and that's going to be a different story.
Okay, I hope so for the sake of your happiness.
Well, as it turns out, I was a little surprised that I wasn't as miserable as I thought I would have been. Because
It's just great to be nominated, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, isn't that kind of how we feel about this?
Yeah, just ask me to the dance, you know. That was all. That's fine. It's okay.
You said you didn't want to talk about it.
I didn't,
but I just ran roughshod over.
All right, but there was one, and I did see this last night. This was I thought, just says it all, a New York Times headline.
Okay.
And here's what it says. Pirates break with tradition by playing. The Cardinals stick to it by winning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right.
Yep.
Okay. So it was unusual for us to be in the game, but we were there, and that was a break from our tradition.
It does seem like a much bigger thing to them, from what I can tell.
It's
much more a baseball town. Yeah,
oh, it
St.
is.
Louis
It's as much a baseball town as this is a football town. And it's because that is just an extraordinarily successful franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in it almost always, so that even though last year they lost their big guy, Pujols. They lost their...
Best name.
Isn't that the worst name in the universe? When I first heard his name, I thought, oh, come on.
Yeah.
You can't. Seriously. And they lost their manager, who was so wonderful. And, you know, it was like a rebuilding year, one would have assumed. Was that 2 years ago or one? Whatever. And, you know, bang, here they are. Right back in it. So pretty formidable.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're in our little group here. So if we ever want to get to where they are, we got to go through St. Louis. Okay, that's all.
Okay, good.
All right. Now, what we were laughing about before was, you may recall that it was the governor, we're talking about Corbett here, governor of Pennsylvania, the governor's attorneys in the case involving, was it the gay marriage case involving the clerk, I think, maybe? Yes,
I believe it was the same-sex marriage case where there was that clerk in, I think, Montgomery County who sort of took it upon himself to issue these marriage licenses.
Right.
And the governor's crack legal team basically suggested, by way of analogy,
that, hey, gays can't marry. I mean, just like, we don't let children marry.
Right.
Why would we? Okay, so
can I just say for 1 second about that? Yep. That was one of the things everybody got worked up, and I guess I'm a straight guy, and I just thought, and so I'm a straight guy, so maybe it's easy for me to say this, but I just thought it was clearly a legalistic argument about how there's just sort of things that are categorically out of bounds, and this is just but people got really upset.
Well, because it did
it is demeaning. I can understand.
Suggest that gay people are children, whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Right. So
today, or was it yesterday? Whatever. There's Governor Corbett on some television show in Harrisburg when he was asked about that rather
dubious,
analogy that his attorneys had come up with. And the governor very quickly stepped in and actually agreed. He said, yes, that was an inappropriate analogy. And then he offered what he thinks they should have said.
That's all right.
He said, rather than compare it to children marrying, I think a better analogy would have been brother and sister, don't you? Right. What? So he's saying, okay, no, we aren't doing the children thing. Right. We're suggesting that gays wanting to marry is akin to incest.
Right. So when he said it was inappropriate analogy, what he meant is it wasn't sufficiently offensive. See, and here I was I not 30 seconds ago just trying to make sort of a case for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now here comes the governor and blows it up and makes it even worse. And before I was like, sometimes lawyers, they don't really think about the sort of political dimension. They're sort of arguing in a kind of rarefied environment.
That's right.
This guy comes out.
The unbelief. I don't think. He doesn't seem like a stupid man.
No.
And he must have some political skill or he wouldn't be where he is. I don't know. Well, some. What is with him? Why is he so... He seems stupid.
He's definitely tone deaf as far as the vast majority of Pennsylvanians go. I mean, I think two things. I mean, one is he actually, and this was, I mean, I remember reporters I know in Harrisburg, who'd been dealing with Corbett for years prior to even when he ran for governor, when he was the state attorney general. And a lot of them kind of said, he's not really a retail politician, and he's never had to be, because you're running for this job that isn't like, you don't go around glad handing people
when you're the
you kind of do this stuff and you prosecute laws and you have nice hair and you throw child molesters in jail and people dig that. And so it was good enough, and it was the Republicans' turn to win the governor's office. And so he kind of had an easy way in there. He kind of had an easy ride into that office. And now a lot of that stuff is catching up with him. He's no good at relating to the legislators in Harrisburg. He's no good at relating to voters.
He's no good at relating to media.
Yeah.
He's no good at... As a matter of fact, I hope he does better with his wife. I mean... Who does he relate well to?
Yeah, I don't know. His dog, maybe. I think they...
Oh, yeah, they got a dog.
Yeah. So I think that's part of it. And I think the other thing, too, is just, he's still in this really unenviable situation of having to suck up to the Tea Party base.
I'm sorry, you Republicans. Aw, you got to suck up to your Tea Party base. Well, lie down with dogs, you get fleas.
This is my favorite thing about this is just like now you hear these guys like Ted Cruz goes to lunch and they all grill him and they're all like, "You idiot, you didn't know what you were doing." and then you got all these like anonymous, Republicans in the House. There's only really 30 of us who are pushing for this. And you got these guys in the eastern part of the state, Pat Meehan and Charlie Dent, just like, we just need to do a clean bill. We've given this a good shot. We just need, and yet every single chance they get to do the right thing, they don't do it.
Right.
So it's just like, who cares? Who cares? Right. It doesn't matter if you don't like Ted Cruz. You just do what he wants.
Right.
So screw ya.
It's just it's a total. I mean, I don't know. It's a party now made up of crazy people and cowards.
And people who defer to crazy people. And the the thing that just amazes me is I just keep reading all of these stories from the Washington Press, and they're sympathetic. They're just like, wow, it's just these 30 guys who seem to call the shots. And this is like, but then when the moment comes when Democrats finally get a chance to put something on the floor and they try to put on a clean continuing resolution, and they get no support from Republicans, including Charlie Dent, guys who 2 days before were saying this is the vote we need to make.
Well, so you
get the chance to make the vote and you don't do it.
Okay, they're full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the party is just completely.
It's but it's dangerous. I mean,
Yes.
it is dangerous, and I have been excoriating them.
Then we need belabor the point no further. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No. If you no, you go right ahead and excoriate away if you would care to. Actually, I have something that might help us do some excoriation.
Excellent. That's what I come here for.
Okay, and I just want to say to Dorothea, who has emailed me saying, I don't get the major MLB network, which is where the game is today. How can I watch the game? I'd invite you over to my house, but I'm actually leaving town. So go to a bar, Dorothea.
Yeah.
Go to a bar. Really.
Or just imagine the game in your mind. Listen to it on the radio.
Yeah, the radio's good, but you could... Or go to a bar. You sit there, you order one little beer and nurse it for 4 hours.
Just tip well if you're going to do that, for God's sake.
All right.
Okay.
So, letter to the editor. And I just want to say, Louis Bosco of Cranberry...
Yeah.
Wasn't there a song about Bosco?
I love Bosco. Bosco's good for me.
Wasn't there like a chocolate drink called Bosco?
Maybe. It was a little...
I love Bosco.
Apparently, people stopped drinking it because it fucked up your voice.
I know. I'm sorry. I had such a coughing fit on the bus, which is the worst place to have one, because you figure everyone around you is saying, "Oh God, that woman! She's making us all," And I was desperately trying to cough down my blouse and into my arms, and geez. So I'm still, a little.
Bosco, the beverage choice of longshoremen.
That's right. I don't know where that's coming from. Anyway, okay, Louis Bosco of Cranberry has, and I thank you for this, Louis, because it's a dispatch from another universe.
Ah, yes. As is most are the letters that come from Cranberry, as a matter of fact. So yes.
But here's what you got to realize. I'm going to read it. Well, we can stop every once in a while to react.
Pause and gather ourselves. Steal ourselves for the paragraphs to come.
But it shows. I mean, we joke about it. It's just an entirely different reality.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they got a Cracker Barrel up there, I think. And
listen to this.
Okay, I'm ready.
And he was so sure of himself that he, took the time to let all of us know his thoughts.
I'm ready.
Here we go. And I just want to say, he's not like a screaming meanie. This is a reasonably coherent letter.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Republicans who oppose the president's health care law have been called everything from terrorists to racists. I believe I have employed both of those terms.
So far, so good, Lawrence Bosco of Cranberry.
So far, you are factually correct. Yes, he is.
Louis.
Factually correct. Yeah. Louis. Republicans who have been called everything from terrorists to racists in recent days by Democrats who demand the GOP march in step with the administration since Obamacare is now the law of the land.
Also,
so far, so good.
Succinct assessment of the situation.
He's bless you. A great many Americans, though, believe it is an unjust law,
Yep.
objecting to the law itself,
Yes.
as well as the disreputable manner in which it was passed.
Yes.
Excuse me? Okay, so he's saying we know it's the law, but we still think it's a bad law.
Yes.
Fine.
That's fine.
Okay, that's okay.
That's fine
So
for you.
far, so good. Bosco.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yes, yes.
Here's where it becomes more of a dispatch from another universe. Back in 2009, scheming to obtain a 60-seat supermajority in the Senate, the Obama administration made blatant deals with senators.
My God. That has
What is that
never
called?
happened before.
What is that? Politics? Where is he? He was politicking in... Oh, my God. Okay, well, remember the Maine. No. Remember the infamous...
If he's about to say Cornhusker, I'm going to lose it. Is that what he says?
Remember the infamous Cornhusker kickback. And you know what?
I do remember
I'm
that.
so glad that you actually could tell where he was going, because I have to admit, when I read that sentence,
You
I
said,
thought,
the what now?
infamous?
Yeah.
I vaguely recall something that they tried to make a big to-do out of. Well, what? So, okay, so in that universe that people live in out in Cranberry, there's something called the Cornhusker kickback that is like one of the low points in American history.
Right.
It will never even make its way into a history book. I mean, in any
Especially because it
really.
was dropped.
Okay, so what was it? It was an attempt to make a deal.
Yeah, I think it was an attempt to get Max Baucus, if I recall correctly,
on board with
it, and then it did come to light, and it was. I mean, it's it's the kind of stuff that makes people hate Washington. Totally precedented by hundreds of years of American history, but it's the kind of thing people. And then it just became too embarrassing, and it went away. And yet these guys are still talking about it. Scalia did the same thing. Scalia brought it up in
really
in the Supreme Court. And
like
used it to pummel the government, and it's just like it wasn't even part of the.
Excuse me, it's a state of high dudgeon when we find out that I'm shocked to find that politics is being practiced. Okay, so Bosco says, remember the infamous Cornhusker kickback?
Dun, dun, dun.
As opposition to the bill mounted among the public, the people of Massachusetts elected Senator Scott Brown to replace the deceased Ted Kennedy, primarily to deny the Senate its elusive 60th vote. What?
And yet, where is Scott Brown today? It seems to me if he just done such a bang-up job,
the people of Massachusetts
would have been happy to
him.
keep him.
Okay, so, I mean, the Democrats, though, responded by using reconciliation.
Dun, dun, dun! Another perfectly legal technique that has a long history.
That's not according to Bosco here. Reconciliation, he says, is an obscure legal maneuver.
Legal maneuvers!
Requiring just 51 votes to pass a bill. Whoever heard of such a thing?
Whoever heard of using legal maneuvers to pass laws?
Legal maneuvers to pass laws by majority vote.
Yes.
Whoever heard of such?
Don't you
infamy?
Democrats know that the filibuster is enshrined in the Constitution?
Yeah?
The filibuster is a legal maneuver. Sorry.
Jesus, God. Okay. All right, Lewis. Everyone agrees.
I already know that.
Oh, no, actually, every once in a while he comes back into it.
Okay.
Everyone agrees the healthcare system needed an overhaul. There you go. But Obamacare was a tragic step in the wrong direction. It will lead to massive job loss, dramatic healthcare cost increases for middle-class families, a shortage of doctors, deterioration in care, and government rationing of procedures. Now, if we were to back up, Lewis, buddy, and take each and every one of these unbelievable terrors that are about to befall us as a result of this horrific law.
Wouldn't it be terrible if there were annual increases in our healthcare cost every year?
Can you imagine?
I don't know what that would be like, honestly.
So far, not any of
that has been true.
Is happening. And in fact, it appears the opposite seems to be happening. Did you see that? The opposite, dear Lewis.
The other thing is, if we're going to look to Massachusetts as the bellwether of this stuff, it is the state that passed under a certain Governor Mitt Romney, the predecessor to this national bill. So I find it hard to imagine that the voters
Well, Lewis ends thusly. The GOP did what it could.
And now it's doing what it shouldn't.
Did what it could to stop this.
Right.
And here's his final flourish. Now one thing is certain. The Democratic Party owns Obamacare and will bear sole responsibility for all that comes in its wake. Yes, we will. And happily, too.
Yeah. Until, if it does turn out to be a big success 10 years from now, all of a sudden the Republicans will rediscover the fact that a lot of this stuff began as Republican proposals and the Heritage Foundation, individual mandate, Republican proposal, because individual responsibility is something Republicans profess to believe in.
God.
It's pretty amazing.
All right. Chuck says there were two remarkable videos yesterday. One was, I didn't see either, Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul caught on a hot mic discussing Republican talking points. Paul suggesting that Republicans would sound more reasonable if they struck a conciliatory tone on government funding of Obamacare.
Yeah. He goes up to McConnell, he goes, I don't think they poll tested, we're not going to compromise. I think it's terrible. And McConnell's like, yes.
Okay. And the other was Congressman Randy Neugebauer castigating a poor park ranger at the World War II Memorial yesterday who was doing nothing more than her job, and in fact currently her unpaid job, blaming her for the memorial club. Here's a woman who's essentially been tossed out of work, who's working for nothing, and tossed out of work because of the Republicans, because of Neuberger, and then she has the
Neugebauer.
Yeah, Neugebauer, and then she has the chutzpah to excoriate the poor victim of her own and her party's own insanity and irresponsibility. I
have to say, I sort of admire it. the sheer chutzpah.
It's beyond belief.
Of like Daryl, his son, these guys like going down there and just like, come on in, boys.
Oh, and then all the old guys in their wheelchair, you know. One last. It's like D-Day all over again.
Exactly.
One more. And I'm thinking,
once more into the breach, dear friends. We happy few.
What a bunch of crap. Jeez.
Come on. Like, it's just, you know, as a student of the game, I respect that. It's just the sheer. Well, no, we shut this stuff down. Let's go get our photo op standing up to stuff being shut down.
But I mean,
doop-de-doo.
See, but that is exactly what they're doing. They shut down the government, and then they freak out that the government shut down.
Yes.
And you know, suggested the Democrats are killing children with cancer. I mean, what in heaven's name allows people to be that shameless?
Brazen, yeah.
That shameless.
The knowledge that to some extent.
That
A, what else are they going to do? And B, they'll probably get away with it. A lot of low information voters out there, as you know, who are willing to blame it on both. All the problems, they'll blame it on both sides, both parties. It's just dysfunction and this abstract dysfunction that somehow descends upon Washington, not through the fault of any particular party or politician.
No.
And, how many oldsters that's the Republican base are going to see film footage of that on Fox News or wherever else and be like, yep, there's my guy standing up for my right to go to the World War II memorial despite all this craziness. And I'm still getting my Social Security check next week, so I got mine, so to hell with everyone else.
One of the things I love is that there's story after story, individual stories from like right-wing, for people in the base of the Republican Party, people who voted for Ron Paul, people who vote, for Mitch McConnell, who all of a sudden, just as a lark, I guess, got on the website, signed up for Obamacare, and are freaked.
That it's a decent deal?
That it's a great deal.
Yeah.
And there was a story yesterday on some guy in Arkansas, the only southern state that has an exchange out. And he reduced, like that, his insurance bill. He was self-insured by $13,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what he says? I'm still a Republican. Now, how? Excuse me.
Because it's a faith.
It's a faith.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
It's a faith.
We all live with certain irreconcilable paradoxes at the heart of our belief system.
So I will remain a member of the party that tried to keep me from saving $13,000 a year.
People still go to Catholic church despite, all of that stuff. People still go to all kinds of religious faiths despite things that are either, criminally embarrassing or whatever. We all.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, no, this sounds like something only you two care about. Okay. Ray has... No, we got to take a break. We'll come back with it.
Okay.
Ray has asked a
question about city politics, Lynn.
Oh, please. All right. We'll make short work of it, but after this break.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Imagine a festival illuminated by the glitter of stars like Steven Spielberg, Yoko Ono, James Franco, Megan Mullally, Gloria Steinem, Miranda Otto, Quincy Jones, Natasha Lyonne, Treat Williams, and Leslie Jordan. You don't have to imagine it. You just have to get real. Real Q is Pittsburgh's annual festival of films about the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. It's returning to the Harris Theater, October 11th to the 19th, with a really diverse collection of great movies. This year's Real Q includes the sexy Free Fall, about a passionate and scandalous love affair, the hilarious GBF, about the benefits of having a gay best friend, and the romantic comedy Heterosexual Jill, about the complicated social life of a lesbian filmmaker. Once again, Comcast Xfinity subscribers can preview nearly all of the Real Q feature films from the comfort of their living room with their on-demand remote, and everyone can log on to www.realq.org. That's www.realq.org.
This week's Pittsburgh City Paper previewing the 2013 Carnegie International is available now. Pick up one today for our special Halloween guide. Plus, Jerry Seinfeld, Celtic Thunder, Soul Asylum, and The Legend of Zelda. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone with GPS-enabled music, event, and restaurant listings at citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, for those of you who are in our commercial break, you missed a lot of gossip about Miley Cyrus and Sinead O'Connor, apparently.
That I was in no way involved in.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Seems like a real mess. I hope they can work that out.
I am not going to trouble my pretty little brain with such nonsense. Okay, here's a question, too. Chris Potter from Ray. Ask Potter what his take is on Tony Chaffee
Chaffee
for city council. Okay, and for the 99% of the audience who have just whose heads have hit the table, just hang in there.
Well,
wait.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. This will be quick. Chaffee's whole extended family has made an art out of sucking from the political machines.
Teat.
Teat.
I love that word. Teat.
Isn't it pronounced tit, though?
I don't know. I always say it teat.
Teat. Tony himself was the chairman of the 6th Ward Democratic Committee.
So he was.
But the minute he loses the Democratic nomination, he runs independently. I mean, who is financing this mess? And please, oh please, tell me he won't win. This is from Ray in Lawrenceville, not a Chaffee supporter.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, so for those who...
Don't go too far back.
This is the District 7 city council race to replace Pat Dowd. It's a special election being held on the November ballot, period. Tony Chaffee, as Ray says, was the...
What, to replace... Oh.
To replace Pat Dowd, who's stepped down to go be in that children's oriented nonprofit they started up this year. So... to answer your question, I'm actually covering this race and just had a meeting with Mr. Chaffee a couple days ago. The last question was, who's funding this mess? I asked him that question, like what his support was going to be. It's there'll be some finance report coming up soon, and I just said, do you want to give me a preview of that? And all he would really say is, residents of the community. What he said was at that time he didn't have a lot of political committee support. Obviously he doesn't have the Democratic committee support. That went with Deb Gross, who's also backed by presumptive future mayor Bill Peduto and Allegheny County executive Rich Fitzgerald. The firefighters have also endorsed her and so on and so forth. Obviously I think anybody looking at this race says Deb Gross is the front runner here and is very likely to win. I will say I didn't cover this race 2 years ago. Tony Chaffee ran against Patrick Dowd 2 years ago. My sense is that Tony's actually running a much smarter campaign this time than last time. It's a more engaged campaign. It's more sophisticated. So I don't think you should count him out. I mean, the one thing that was interesting that Ray said, well, his family's been political and so on and so forth. His father is, of course, the district magistrate down in Lawrenceville, and has had his own ties. One of the things, Tony Chaffee now calls himself a progressive, which is something he wasn't doing 2 years ago because that's what Pat Dowd was. And I said, so what does being progressive mean to you? And one of the first things he said was, sort of transparency and openness in government, and an end to patronage hiring. And I said, weren't you working at the housing authority before? And he said, yes, but, that just because I happen to be the 6th Ward chairman doesn't disqualify me from the job, which is, whatever you want to think about that. So at any rate, I think people who, I think, Tony's carrying, both the assets and the baggage, I think, of the family name. They're definitely, the Chaffee, his father has been a polarizing figure in many ways for a lot of people. And Tony has inherited some of that. But I will say, in the guy's defense, he's running a much smarter campaign than he was last time, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, okay, enough. Henry writes, I saw the video of
Neugebauer
ripping the park ranger a new one. What gets me is that he's down there making sure these vets can visit the memorial, but his vote to shut down the government also shut down Meals on Wheels, which serves thousands of meals to military veterans. Slightly more important, by the way, that they eat than that they go and visit a slab of concrete. Unbelievable.
I think it's marble. Yeah, again.
Unbelievable.
The brazenness of it, you got to admire.
No. It leaves me, slack-jawed and Okay, so do you see this study that's getting a lot of attention? That if you want to empathize with others, you have to read literary fiction. You have to read good fiction. And that they've done studies that people who are coming off of... Don't look so bored.
No, I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I had an early morning.
I understand. Jeez.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought thought you were like somebody who appreciates.
I do. I makes this seems like it's going to ratify my choice of major.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
So they say that if you've been, if you grab somebody who's reading Pride and Prejudice or reading Dostoevsky, and then you give them this little test about whether or not they are able to interpret others, what they're feeling, and to be tuned in to other people's mental states. The people who are coming off where their brains have been actively working, and what they make a distinction. This doesn't work if you're reading
Tom Clancy.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't.
This is
work.
also explaining quite a bit of our current socio-political landscape.
That is
probably.
true.
Yeah.
Because this only works for good literature.
How did they make that distinction? Like, how did they decide? Like, did they pick certain books that were like trashy romances versus certain books that were...
Well, I'm not, listen, I haven't...
Highbrow? I mean, it seems it's a little subjective what the good literature is.
Anyway, whatever. But, they go by the classics as opposed to popular crap that, that you see people reading on airplanes, okay? Listen.
I'm just saying.
Here's the reason.
Okay.
Because they say good literature...
Yes.
Does not hand to the reader the personality on a platter of their of the characters. They're complex. They are it takes brain energy to try to comprehend these characters. They're complicated. They're not like, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy, this is the sort of cardboard characters that inhabit badly done fiction.
Although, in fairness, I did read the Left Behind series, and I did feel a tremendous amount of sympathy and compassion for other people who had read the Left Behind series. So maybe that's the exception that proves the rule. But anyway, yeah.
All right, never mind.
Well, what books? I want to go.
I don't know. I didn't. That was just a little thing.
I think it would be very
interesting.
interesting to know, like, if they found, because this could be very useful. This could open up a whole new area of research where we figure out who are the writers who are most likely to instill compassion. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. I don't know.
Reminds me of Kurt Vonnegut once saying that he felt like writers were responsible for a lot of the wars and deaths and crime in the world, because so many of their books, they just write somebody getting shot because it makes for a nice conclusion to the plot or whatever. Or that books treated some characters as more important than others, which leads us to believe the same is true of ourselves and each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look. Okay, I am sorry I even brought it up.
I know, I was very interested. I'm
book.
sorry.
Read a good book.
Are you reading anything now?
Yeah, but I'm not into it, and I think I'm going to take it back to the library. It's not floating my boat.
Really?
Yeah.
See, but maybe it would make you more compassionate to people you're not sufficiently compassionate to.
No, it's annoying me.
Oh.
All right.
And am I getting some of that now?
I think maybe you are.
Maybe if you had better taste in literature, you'd be nicer to me. Is that what? This is research we could use.
I guess if it's easy reading, it's like easy listening music and that kind of stuff. If it's easy, it's not going to do the job. What they're saying is that stuff that works your brain and makes you make distinctions about human behavior and stuff, it makes sense that then you would be a little more acute, alert, aware, right?
That's the premise of half of liberal arts, I think, right? Is
that's why it's a good idea to better, exactly right.
Human and a citizen.
Oh. Okay.
Did you want to talk about Elsie Greenwood?
I really do, but I don't. I came upon this yesterday. This is such a beautifully written piece.
Who's it by?
Gary Pomerantz.
Yeah, from the Tribune Review.
Is he from the Trib?
I don't know. I'm just seeing that's where it's from. Oh, is it not?
Wall Street Journal.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Wow, look, that's the Trib's.
Same font.
Yeah, it's like the same font on the top of the thing.
Well, it says Gary Pomerantz is the author of their life's work, The Brotherhood of the 1970s Pittsburgh Steelers, which will be released next month by Simon & Schuster.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So
this
a good read based on this.
Oh, my God. I'd almost like to read it to you. It is that damn good. Yeah. Can I read you a few?
Sure, yes, please.
Really?
I think now that you've built it up,
Okay,
I think
I'm
you
not
have
going
to.
to do it.
Yeah.
It's just so well done. Mean Joe Green was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers play the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday when he got a call from Mel Blount, one Hall of Famer to another. Their old teammate L.C. Greenwood had just died from kidney failure 2 weeks after back surgery. Green went silent. Images flashed through his mind. 3 months ago, seeing L.C. so jovial in his Santa Claus hat at Franco Harris's 40th anniversary celebration of the Immaculate Reception, then talking with L.C. by phone just before his surgery, his old teammate describing his acute pain, saying that he'd been getting around with a metal walker. Suddenly, Green felt alone. Now, this is not the part that gets, he's setting it up.
Right.
Can I keep going?
Yeah.
In the 1970s, when the Steelers built a football empire, Green and Greenwood teamed with Dwight White and Ernie Holmes to form the original Steel Curtain front four. They were masters of mayhem with interlocking skill sets and the colorful nicknames of Mean Joe, Hollywood Bags, Mad Dog, and Fats. They helped limit the Vikings to 17 yards rushing in Super Bowl IX, an average of just 2.4 feet per carry. They made the cover of Time magazine. They did commercials. Greenwood for Miller Lite. Dear quarterback, I apologize for the way I treated you. and Mean Joe in the 1979 Coca-Cola spot in which he tossed his jersey to a boy.
Yeah.
Green played with rage. Holmes radiated danger. White never stopped yakking, and Greenwood remained calm, cool. Once asked who hit harder, Green or Holmes, Steelers running back Reggie Harrison said, "Well, it all depends on what you prefer, Excedrin or Motrin. If you can find the rest of your body after they hit you, that's good." Now listen to this. The Steel Curtain front four became the point of the Steelers' sword, the first dominant, all-black starting four in league history.
I did not know that.
I didn't either. Southerners all.
Yeah, I did know that.
And raised on the burrs of segregation. They were like Tuskegee airmen in cleats. I love that.
Yeah.
And now Green is the only one left. They talk about what happened. Do you realize that how quickly these three have died, right?
Yeah.
After one another, and how young?
Yeah.
The four stalwarts long ago moved on to their life's work. Holmes became a professional wrestler, a bodyguard, a bit actor, and then a Baptist preacher who before gastric bypass surgery weighed 688 pounds. He died in January when his SUV bolted from a road near Beaumont, Texas, in January of 2008. Months later, White, who worked in the investment business, underwent lower back surgery, after which he died from a pulmonary embolism. Holmes was 59, White 58. Now stop and think. So now you have two of the Steel Curtain. You have White, and you have Greenwood dying as a direct result of back surgery because of the extraordinary pain they were living with because they were football players.
Yeah.
And they're dead before they're sick, dead young. Mean Joe's the only one left.
Yeah.
Anyway, this thing goes on and on and on, and it is so cute. It is so cute, and it does show how totally together those. Anyway, the funeral is Monday.
Yeah. That's a good for people kind of looking to sort of reconnect with that. I totally recommend Three Bricks Shy of a Load, which features
Oh,
all those guys and really does give you a flavor for that mid-'70s sort of, actually more like early 70s, I guess, but just this sort of joyous eccentricity, I think, of that particular team and really of this city at that particular time, you know? And it's hard. I mean, it's hard not to be nostalgic, A, because they are passing from us, and
way
and B,
too
because the city
soon.
itself, what's coming for Pittsburgh as well. It's but it's such a lively read, and some of those guys are just so funny.
Wonderful, wonderful characters.
Yeah,
Just wonderful characters. But I did not know that was the first dominant all black and Southern blacks growing up under, the horrors of segregation.
Yeah.
Man. I love it, LC. Damn it. Okay, I saw that look. You know why? Because I read classical literature. And so all you have to do is just sort of flutter your eyes up and I realize, he wants me to take a break.
Yeah.
So I will.
What do you think I'm thinking right now?
I will take a break and we will be back. The empathetic me and Chris Potter.
And this guy.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to the all-new BergBargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. This month, big discounts on your favorite Halloween attractions. Supplies are limited. The all-new BergBargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains, BergBargains.com.
Come to Little's for all of your back-to-school needs. Little's has everything for all ages to stay in style for this upcoming school season. Check out the large selection from Doc Marten, Steve Madden, UGG, Clark's, Lely Kelly, New Balance, and much, much more. Don't forget to come visit this season's colorful handbag selection as well. Little Shoes, Pittsburgh's largest family shoe store, 5850 Forbes Avenue in Squirrel Hill.
This is Les Ludwig, an independent candidate for mayor of the city of Pittsburgh. I ask for your vote on November 5th, and here's why. Some candidates play politics. I stand for a secure position in regards to fracking, one that's based on my background as a food technologist and opportunities that were presented in my lifetime in the dairy industry when I was a food chemist for the United States Army in Washington, D.C., and the dairy products literally stunk. Someone had to go ahead and take a stand. I did the chemistry, and I stood tall. What are we doing here with fracking? We have a fight between money and public safety. No one has defined clearly where the danger level is in the distance from the wells. Until we take the moratorium for 3 years and find out what that answer is, I have to stand on the side of public health, not on the side of $500 million of money. It's a mistake, because when we poison our water, we literally sentence ourselves to big trouble. I ask you for your vote and the question of standing tall when it comes to making a decision about fracking. Let's keep Allegheny County and its citizens safe. I thank you.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Okay, this was in the Wall Street Journal today. First of all, it involves a woman named, I can't pronounce her last name because it's a Polish name, Anne Wojcicki. Anyway, she...
I didn't realize you're a native speaker.
She separated from her husband, Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google.
Yeah, sure.
And she also has... she is the head of a personal genomics company in California, 23andMe.
The number of chromosomes, I guess, right?
Yes, that would be correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is page 3 Wall Street Journal. 23andMe has been awarded a patent for a technique to be used in fertility clinics to create babies with selected traits. Here we go.
Yep. Sooner or later, it was bound to come to this.
That's right. So this is where it will be possible to reliably choose cosmetic traits such as complexion and hair color, or even physical attributes like athleticism, And obviously the question is an ethical question.
Sure.
I'll just give you, they set it up thusly. Some people say it is unethical to bioengineer children because better off parents could use it to give their children a competitive edge.
Like they do with everything else.
Yeah, right. Thus widening social divisions.
Yeah, that's fair.
But others say there is nothing wrong with genetic enhancement. Parents, they argue, should be free to endow their children with the best start in life. Knowing the obnoxious people that will take advantage of this, it makes my skin crawl.
Right.
It makes my skin crawl.
Right.
I'm seeing this ability so that you could prevent a child from having sickle cell anemia. Or from a certainty of, colorectal cancer or something like that. Yeah, okay, that I get. But
So you're okay using it to avoid bad things, but not to help facilitate good things?
I think.
Yeah. On the other hand, what's the difference? It's like, I've seen studies that say taller people tend to make more money. So if you wanted your child to not have to worry about poverty as much, would you help them be tall?
I know people who subject their kids to daily injections of growth hormone.
Yeah, right.
Which at one point was suggested to me, and I said, for my child. My child is small.
Okay.
And I thought, you mean I am going to tell him essentially there is something very wrong with you.
Yeah, that
results in we are going to have to go to the doctor every day. You are going to have to get a shot because something's defective, which is bull.
Yeah.
And I thought I would no more do that to a child.
Yeah.
Now, maybe, is it different if the child was going to be 4'6", or if the child was just going to be 5'5"?
Right.
I don't know. But parents make these calculations.
Right.
But I think just sort of suggesting to your child that there's something wrong simply because they're not going to be tall. First of all, my guess is they're not going to be tall because you aren't tall.
Well.
Right?
Do we not all want our children to be
Oh,
better than ourselves, Lynn?
No, I'd
like to have my kid have a full head of hair. I don't think it's going to happen. But I guess I could have designed a gene to, address that or something, right?
No, I think the bald thing goes through the maternal line.
I don't know. Well, I'm screwed either way. Put it that way.
Oh, you are? Okay. He's screwed either way.
Yeah. So, but the other side of that too is that you don't necessarily know if you're going to buy into this whole genetics thing. You don't necessarily know what all those chromosomes are actually doing. So you think those genes are actually doing, right? So you swap out for one thing, maybe you're getting something along.
Else. That's true.
It does.
You can believe they'll get better and better at this,
right?
And clearly,
we're all headed towards Brave New World, right? That was the whole thing of Brave New World, right? There were the alphas and the betas and the gammas and whatnot.
I'm just telling you, we got the first patent out saying, "Go ahead, do it, go for it."
Yeah, think about it. So she's separated from the Google guy.
Mm-hmm. No, they're divorced.
Oh, they're divorced.
Yeah.
Do you think he ever looks her up on Google? Just to see what she's up to?
I don't think so.
He just knows.
So.
When you're the founder of Google, you don't even have to. It's just like hardwired into your cerebral cortex.
Right. So anyway, I take the bus. You take the bus?
I do.
Okay. So did you see this?
Yes.
I found myself at a dinner. God, I don't know, maybe 45. What am I talking about, 45? 6 months ago or something. And found myself sitting next to Rich Fitzgerald.
Indeed.
Yes.
You run in a tiny crowd.
Oh, yeah, we were at the head table. I was...
oh, yeah, right, okay.
All right. I was speaking. And we had
at a podium or just
at a podium.
Or were you just holding forth?
I was speaking. Okay. Jean Milko introduced me,
yes.
and it turns out she she did not like me because I had always made fun of her. It's very uncomfortable being me. So you end up at a head table in between two people who you've said things about on the air. They know it.
Right.
Milko gets up and says, "This woman I'm into," she let me have it. It was all fine. That's cool. That's great. Yeah. Anyway, so Fitzgerald told me something at that dinner that really freaked me out. He said that he very excitedly told me that we're going to get the buses out of the downtown.
Right.
And I remember thinking, why, you elitist jerk? But I didn't say it. I was, I mean, I like Rich, but I that's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm. Oh, you don't take the bus. You got a dedicated parking spot downtown. Mm-hmm. I thought, so all the people who already have to be out in the heat and in the rain and in the sleet and in the snow and trudge to their jobs and trudge to the bus stops, you're going to make them trudge even farther. I ride the bus. Many of those people are old. Many of those people are young women with babies and more than one children and we're going to get rid of those buses. Why? It's not really the vehicular traffic. It's not, that's part of it. It's the people who ride the buses. Do you know what they do?
They wait.
They wait. They stand
on street corners.
They stand on sidewalks,
right,
waiting for the bus. And people who don't take the bus don't like having to navigate those scrums of those people waiting for their buses. And the business people don't like those scrums of those people. Wrong people tend to be the wrong color, tend not to have enough money in their pocket, tend whatever, they're old. It's not their demo. They don't want them there. And so this is an instance where I'm part of the crowd that is going to be ushered out. Get out. Out, out. And you too, and you too. Three of us here, we all take the bus. I find it so offensive. I can barely even talk.
Yeah. Well, this isn't the first time.
Paduno's on board.
Yeah, and this
too.
isn't the first time they've talked about doing this. I think that story mentioned, the Allegheny Conference has been a big booster in all this. And I'm like you. For me, by the way, I should say, I take the 41 in, and I actually get off. It wends its way down. It comes in across the river, goes down Boulevard of the Allies, comes up Wood Street, up 6th, then back out Smithfield. I actually find if I get out at Boulevard of the Allies and walk, I actually get here slightly quicker or at the same time as the bus, just because it's a nightmare, and I would just prefer to do it. So for me, it's easy. I'm young and relatively able-bodied.
Exactly.
But I feel like you do, and that there are clearly many people on many of these buses who are not in that situation. Yeah, the other thing too that I think about is, look, I was waiting for the P1, what we used to call the EBA when I was a boy, just last night, and there's a there's a lot of people there. There's probably about 6:45.
Right. Those are big buses.
Those are big buses, but they get a big crowd, right? So I got on right across the street here, and it's got one or two more stops before it heads out of downtown. And there's people at every one of those stops. And I'm just wondering if you're going to consolidate these stops, and you're going to take 4 or 5 places in the heart of downtown, push them off to the edge, and make one central location or 2 central locations. There's going to be a crowd of frickin' people in these places.
Yes, there is.
And I just, it's physically hard for me. And that's just for one bus. Imagine if you got the P1 with all the other people taking those express buses that also use the East Busway to get out to the east suburbs. You're just going to have this. It's going to be a crowd scene. And, but I will say, there is something to be said for, and the Port Authority has tried in the past to try and figure out how to get buses in and out as quickly as possible. There was a time when, I don't know if you remember, there was the old 500 bus. Do you remember that route? It was this weird thing where you had it was one of the 71s, and it was joined to one of the 16s. The 71s come from the east, from Shady Side and the east end, and then the 16s go to the north. And I was like, is there some large population of people who have to get from Point Breeze to Troy Hill? Is that a thing?
I would think not.
And the answer was no. Yeah. What it was is They put that route together simply so the bus would go right through downtown without having to turn, because it's the turning around and working your way back that really clogs things up. So, I mean, I'll understand, like, it is a tricky street grid to navigate.
Yes.
It's difficult to do that. I'm for anything that reduces, diesel emissions, although someday we'll all be running on clean burning natural gas, Lynn, if Fitzgerald has his way. I mean, there's like a legitimate thing there, but I agree with you. Maybe they should have like rickshaws or whatever carrying people who need help into town or something like that.
I'm sorry, there is something revoltingly top-down elitist about this whole thing, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting to me.
Yeah, I guess I'm less outraged by that side of it. Because I understand how it comes across, but I do tend to feel like there's an actual.
If you don't and there's that's going to be it's a very small downtown. It's true.
Yeah.
But for some people, that's going to be a schlep. I mean.
Yes, I agree.
It's going to be a schlep.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
And if you're
I'm looking at who's on the bus.
No, I know. That's the part that worries me the most. Is what do you do for that population? Like you said, the young mothers is a really good one. It's a really good example.
God.
Of
you see women and they're dealing with all the stuff that mothers have to carry, plus
their own work, whatever else,
own work, and this and that, and they might have 2, 3 even children, and let's just make it as hard as we possibly can on the people who are already struggling. Let's keep doing that. So God forbid some business owner here doesn't have to look at the great unwashed standing outside his window.
Yeah.
Well,
I understand where you're coming from, for sure.
Okay. Let's go back to Ray on this. It really pisses me off. Okay. Ray says, Lynn and Potter, this is about the genetic designer children. I had this argument with a moral theologian years ago. I would have liked to have heard that. I'd
like to hear an argument with an amoral theologian, actually. I feel like I could relate better.
My take was that this opens up a brand new ability for human regret.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this already. All of us can sit and wish we were different than we are, but we are protected by our love-hate relationship with fate.
Yeah.
But now there will be children who can look at their parents with a new flavor of contempt because they could have been different if only mommy and daddy had filled out the baby form a better way.
Hey, I didn't ask to be genetically engineered.
Right.
That's what you're going to hear from your 14-year-old in a few years. Yeah. No doubt.
I only hope that this expensive procedure includes a sterile option. Oh, God help us. Brave new world.
That's interesting, though. I guess I should know this, and maybe Ray does, and we'll email us at a future date. But it would be does like the Catholic Church have a teaching on genetic engineering of people?
I would think they are against it.
I would think so too.
I would think they're against it.
Yeah, I would think so too. But I can't think of exactly.
I think they initially were against in vitro, weren't they? But came around. I'm not so sure. I mean,
I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Because in vitro begot this. I mean, this is one thing just leads to another. But I love the line, opens up a brand new ability for human regret.
Well, we're always looking for those, though, aren't we?
Oh, God, there's an endless supply.
We're always finding them anyway.
Indeed. Well, I'm going...
Speaking of reasons for human regret?
No, I'm leaving now, and I am going to go pollute the corner of Smithfield and 7th by my presence.
Well,
along with, or 6th.
I know what part of town I'm going to avoid for the next little while.
Right. And I am going to stand there with other polluters, and that's a good idea. NP writes, let's take the cars out too.
And turn downtown into another Penn Circle.
Yeah, let's do it. Speaking of genetic engineering, and this is urban engineering, and it just doesn't have room for certain people anymore. I'm so sorry. Hey, guys, I'm going to say this with all sincerity and great hope. Go Bucks! And And see y'all Monday. Thank you, Mr. Potter. Okay.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.